So I'm browsing the old Facebook Marketplace and I found a Kona Hoss. It's a hardtail, modernish geometry, 250 bucks. I think it's worth it because it has brand new tires on it, but let me go take a look at it and see if I can get it for a little less. This could be a really good flip bike. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. We ended up getting this bike for only 200 bucks. When I got there, neither of the brakes were working. We don't know what's wrong with them. They could just need a flush and refill, but in any case, I think this bike is very much worth 200 bucks because brand new, you can't get anything for that these days. The tires are practically new. They still have the little hairs on them. All around, it has pretty good components. Great wheels, great fork. Even the drivetrain doesn't really have anything wrong with it. Another thing we've got going for us is that Kona is kind of a cool bike. The brand has held a lot of value even today. But all is not perfect. We're gonna have to do something about the brakes. The pedals are in shambles, and I would like to modernize the drivetrain just a little bit. We can make this bike a lot better than it is without spending big money on it. And for somebody looking for a starter hardtail, this might be the perfect bike. Let's take it apart and get it over to the wash station. I don't know what all this stuff down here is. It's like literally tar that got kicked up from the road. Is really just scrubbing it do anything? So I'm gonna go grab a tire lever. Elbow grease alone doesn't seem to be doing the trick. So the good news is the fork has this protective film over the labels and you pull it off and they look brand new. The bad news is the frame, I just thought it was dirty, but really there's all this tar stuff on it. It looks really bad and I don't have a plan. Kevin's got a little bit of experience with paint work. He's having me wet sand it and the stuff is coming off and it's looking good. So once we're done with this, we'll see how bad the paint looks and decide if there's something else we have to do, but it's coming off. Kevin picked up an automotive grade clear coat. We're gonna scuff up the paint, bring the sheen back to the finish. It's not gonna look like new, but it is gonna look better. All right, definitely looks better than it did when it was covered in tar. So let's go work on the brakes and see if we can get those working while this is drying. Well, one thing's for sure, these brakes do not work. I've got a whole bunch of bleed fittings right here. Let's get to it. Ooh. These are bone dry, and so we really want to flush them out and make sure they're clean, and then fill them up. I have got a fitting for the bottom. Oh yeah, this one. Ooh. This is the messiest bleed job I've ever done. Now we'll go outside and wash these off. So now that we've done all that messy stuff, everywhere where that corrosive brake fluid has sort of eaten away paint and made bolts all rusty, we can just clean it up. So, our clear coat dried overnight and it looks good. Looks really good. Nice satin clear coat. None of that garbage that was on the frame is there. Not perfect, but let's just say I'm happy with it. We are changing to a shorter stem. This actually came off the GT. Wow, no rubbing, everything is perfect. We'll need to line up this rotor. That's it. This is a nice big 10-speed cassette. Ooh, SRAM X7. This ain't a bad derailleur. It's a 40 tooth. So this will work as a 1x on a 26-inch bike. These are pretty nice hubs. So this is the original crank set. Had these 3 rings on it. We're gonna change it out for this 1 single speed chain ring. I feel like with Oscar here, I'm teaching my son how to work on a bike, and someday he'll know how to use all these tools from being on the bench, watching from 4 centimeters away. All right, we've done this once or twice. I cleaned up these grips really good. Gonna reuse them, there's nothing wrong with them. That's gonna save us a buck or 2. So for what it's worth, just to freshen up the look of the bike, I'm gonna install these bolt-on skewers. They technically decrease the weight, they can't get caught on things, and they make the bike look a little bit more streamlined. A lot of this is about cosmetics. One of the last things we have to do is install pedals, and the ones that were on it are not going to do. So I have these red ones and they match some of the accents on the bike, but this bike is subtle, it deserves something a little more serious. So Kevin installed new pedals on his bike and his old ones were shot, or so he said. He said these are no good anymore. That very well might be the case, but I'm willing to bet it is not. These have never been opened before. I can see the factory thread locker on the screws. Ooh. Oh yeah, bone dry. Any grease is certainly better than none. So on these pedals, there's a little screw that goes in the end right here. When you force the axis in, the extra grease will come out of the end of the pedal. So I'm just gonna put a nice big glob of grease in here, and then we're gonna kind of spin the axis in there. It's just extruding grease out of the end of the pedal there. Okay, now listen to this pedal. You hear that? Neither do I. So we've got these cleaned up now. Now I have to get all these pins out. Now, most of them are mashed up. I'm gonna have to take a plier and twist them out by force. I put tape over any spot that had some pattern on it. The rest we're just gonna paint flat black. Some really high quality paint with hardener. I knew these would look better, but if you just glance at them, they look like brand new stamp pedals. I mean, this is insane. Brand new pins, bushings work just like new. This is gonna add real value to this bike, and it didn't cost us anything. Kevin was ready to throw these away, and I was like, dude, let me see if I can fix those. Let's see what they look like on the bike. Okay. So I'm looking at the bike, and there's nothing wrong with the seat. It's a perfectly good seat, but I think I have one that suits the bike better, so I'm gonna swap it. I know I'm obsessing over looks a lot, but that's what sells it. I think this might be the one where we can claim some degree of success, but we haven't listed it yet and haven't gotten any inquiries yet. And we haven't stared at it yet. So we just listed the bike. Let me read you the listing. This Kona Hardtail is medium-sized and perfect for riders between 5'6" and 5'10". The bike is in perfect working order and has been thoroughly tuned up from the hydraulic disc brakes, to the cables, to the drivetrain and chain. The tires are fairly new as well. From its original state, this bike has received numerous tasteful upgrades, including a more modern 1X drivetrain and Crank Brothers Stamp 7 pedals. So make me an offer and let's find it a home. I priced it at $450 and I think that's a fair price. I'm gonna really try to get full ask, but it needs to sell, so let's see what we get for it. All right, so just woke up and checked the messages. I have like 7 offers on this thing. So first person to actually meet up and pay the money gets it. And all these full price offers are making me think I might have listed it for too little. I literally organized for 3 showings of the bike and I told each one of them, look, whenever the bike sells, it sells. Be honest and let them know that. Now I'm meeting up with somebody at 9:15 to sell the bike. And if that falls through, I have other people that are like, thanks, let me know. So we sold the Kona for full ask, $450, and you know what? I think we could have gotten more for it. I had to message a whole bunch of people back and say, sorry, the bike sold. But did we make any money on it? Here's the breakdown. So first of all, we swapped out certain parts on the bike, like the stem and the drivetrain, and in certain cases, we definitely went with a better part, and so I tried to be fair about how I valued those. We swapped the drivetrain from a 9-speed to a 10-speed with a bigger cassette. I value that at $35. The chainring cost us $13. The bolt-on skewers cost us $10. We swapped out the perfectly good saddle for a slightly newer and better one, so I value that at $5. We used a lot of supplies, cables, paint, pedal pins, sandpaper. That I'm gonna value at $20. The new pedals were very, very good, but they were about to be thrown away. But those were expensive brand new, so I have to put some kind of value on it. Let's say $20. After all, they were gonna go in the trash. So overall, we put $103 into a bike that we spent $200 on. We sold it for $450, and so we made $147 profit. That's better than we've ever done so far, and I think he got a really good deal on this bike. That bike had great bearings all around, double wall rims, an indestructible coil fork. So everybody won here, and we have a whole bunch of parts to put back in the bin. If you like this episode of Flip Bike, check the playlist below for the rest of the series. For now, I've got more bikes to work on.